Hi guys, how's it going? Did you have a good weekend? I hope so. We're here Monday. Plattsburgh is sunny, but it's kind of cold outside. Um, Hope you've been having a good day wherever you are. This is the first video for this week, and it's going to be about fMRI and what we know about the research that we already have in sport and performance. And hopefully, if not tonight, tomorrow I'll be uploading the second video. And again, I hope they're helpful. You see the videos from last week, they're right here. Okay, if you want to watch them again, thank you for your feedback and thank you for watching them and appreciating this different kind of communication between us. All right. fMRI in sport and performance research, a synthesis of research findings. I don't know how long this video will be. I'll try to keep it short, but there is a lot of information again that I'm trying to include. Look again at the outline at the bottom as a comments. I'm going to add that too. And hopefully I'm making you more excited towards sports neuroscience, and this is helpful towards your final project. Let's go. So, functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI. It has to do with detecting blood flow and oxygenating blood. So oxygenation is huge, and the signal is the one that we've covered before, BOLD, bold, right? And we talked about different properties that have to do when we put them through a magnetic field of oxygenated blood and deoxygenated. Remember, because when we do some kind of exercise, what do we need? We need more oxygen. So our body is going to send to our brain, to those regions that have to be activated for whatever we're doing, more blood in order to supply more oxygen. At the same time, less blood will go to regions that are not going to be used for whatever we're about to do or we are doing. And that's what we take advantage of, and we're trying to indirectly measure that neural activity. All right? So from those images that we're getting, we see the correlates of neural activity, and we have the spatial resolution, but a limited temporal resolution, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. In fMRI research, there's not a lot about cognitive processing, which is something, as you understand, very important in sports, and we need that. I threw in a Seminal Paper, and if you want more information, you can go and read it. It has to do with dancers, and has to do with ballet dancers and capoeira dancers, and it was a very big moment for sports neuroscience and fMRI. So that's a seminal paper that affected a lot of research after that, and I wanted to add it over there. Before I move into more specifics, I want to say that we do know more thanks to fMRI that has to do with our brain and sports. But going back now, we kind of second guessing the way we did research or the way we process the data from that research. I'll explain myself as we go. All right, motor expertise. We have found that there's neural efficiency, and we talked about that. But the cool part is that not even as young adults or people who are, but even adults, we found that CNS can be adaptive when there is practice, and there is some reorganization, but we have increase of activation in some areas and decrease in some areas, and the combination of that gives us subcortical reorganizations, and we're going to talk about that. Maybe we increase the areas, the experts, that they need to activate more, right? And maybe they decrease activity in the areas that they don't need to activate. So there is consensus in the research about that motor expertise mediates brain activity during motor execution, preparation, action observation, motor imagery, and anticipation. But we don't know the extent and we don't know the exact locations. So we're not sure about that. Let's talk about anticipation, prediction, and motor preparation, and talk first about anticipation skills. We talked about MNS, mirror neural system, before, and it's that system in our brain that gets activated when we observe the movement happening from somebody else, right? And a lot of research is there. We have a lot of we have research with soccer, tennis, and badminton, and it really helps us understand why experts may not activate that neural system when they see something, so they don't fall for that deception. Okay, that's very, very interesting. Auditory info, again, is a key determinant of how we execute a skill. So that's important when we anticipate something to add that auditory information in there. And action observation network is a network, again, that has to do when we are planning. As we're observing, planning what's our next move and preparing. And in the research that happened with basketball, they found that experts rely more on body awareness than novices. Prediction. If you have different levels of expertise, maybe you process the same, you have neural processing which is different. So you process different tasks from what you're seeing in front of you, right? So an expert may analyze some different tasks compared to a novice when they are observing the same thing, okay? Motor preparation. Happen with golfers. There's more, again, efficient reorganization of neural resources, and the results from those kind of projects suggested that experts activated some regions that were not necessarily directly related to the task. Okay? Let's go to action observation, motor imagery, and visuospatial ability. We have a lot of research in dance, and your experience, your personal experience is, of course, that's what we have found out, is crucial for understanding, observing what you observe in front of you, which I think makes sense. And another cool result is that they did with volleyball players, and they did motor imagery. We talked in class, right? And they gave them instructions that were positive, do something, and negative, don't do something. And they found that if both experts and novices had a better reaction time based on neural activity in the positive ones, which is great. As a coach, if you're trying to do more imagery, maybe you should emphasize more on positive than negative. We need to talk about the meta-analysis from Young, and it was shown that most research is done in sports and dance, okay? And motor experts had stronger activations in the left precentral gyrus, and that's part of the AO1 that we just mentioned, okay? And of the posterior parietal cortex. Now, the gyrus, precentral gyrus, has to do with voluntary movement. Parietal cortex has to do with planned movement. So it kind of makes sense that experts have stronger activations in those areas. And those activations have been shown that, or the conclusion out of all this is that we have positive skill transfer, so experts can use that in more ways and more contexts. And of course, they have more, again, efficient neural processes. And we see that we have increase in the brain effects in planning and comprehension. That's for experts, in decreasing motor control. Why? Maybe because that's what they need at that level, and that's what they don't need at that level. For example, maybe they don't need motor control because they're experts and they have already achieved that. So that's why we see less activation in those brain areas. Pretty cool, right? Now, emotional mental state manipulations, not a lot of research. We have that in the zone that we've talked in class. We know that we're in the zone that changes our neural activation. And via videos, like if I showed you a video of you succeeding or not succeeding, whatever sport you're doing, that will manipulate your emotional state. Okay, and maybe we can figure out the reward processing regions that happens when I'm showing you a positive video, for example. That's pretty cool. So visual and auditory stimuli can manipulate uh, your emotional state, and your emotional state then affects your motor performance. Now, for fMRI, as we said before, we have very good spatial resolution, but we don't have temporal resolution. So we cannot, we have an issue with timing. Okay, bold is great, but it can be affected by changes in the body that we're not interested in, that have nothing to do with what we're looking for. And the research for fMRI, because of the way it is, it's hard to create causal relationships. And that's why, for all those reasons, we're going to move and talk about alternative or complementary techniques. Okay, magnetoencephalography, MEG. Advantages, as you can see, it's a direct measurement of the brain. fMRI is indirect. It has high temporal resolution. When we said fMRI has poor, right? So those are the good things about MEG. And drawback is we have extremely small signals. And what does that mean? That those signals can be affected by other irrelevant signals that may be happening in the same room, for example. EEG, we talked about G, high temporal resolution, we know that, but also we do know has low spatial resolution. TMS, we have electromagnetic induction, so we have an electrical current which creates a magnetic field, and then we have movement in our brain that we can detect. The cool thing is that we can temporarily excite or inhibit specific regions of the brain. F and IRS, we talked about that one too. It could be used instead of fMRI, high temporal resolution and portability. And we'll have acute changes of blood flow that can be detected. This one, again, as you can see, has to do with blood flow again and BOLD. We've talked about BOLD when we talked about F and IRS. Now, a cool thing, and the last thing for today, and again, I've compiled so much information and I'll try to make it as simple as possible, but not too simple, is who do we consider an expert and who is the skilled? And are we considering an expert based on years of experience and maybe accomplishments, right? Or level of competition, international, Olympic, and so on and so forth? Can I have somebody who's highly skilled but just plays pick-up games in a basketball court right here outside? So can we distinguish the motor expertise and the perceptual expertise? And one cool thing that has been suggested is, yes, we can have that motor expertise, okay, based on the years of experience and accomplishments and level that somebody's competing, participating. But also, before we actually do the actual research, before we actually do the research that we have participated, recruited for, we do a small test to see their perceptual expertise before we actually do it. So somebody maybe his or her brain may be reacting very, very fast, but never actually went towards that talent that they have and never actually played at that level. If that's the case and we can distinguish between motor and perceptual expertise, fMRI is good for perceptual expertise only or mainly, not so much for motor. Hope that makes sense. Now, what are we missing from fMRI research? We're missing that we call representative design, and that's a huge debate again. Can we actually take what we're doing in the lab in real life? Not so much with fMRI. So that's a big limitation of fMRI research. And so that's why we need more, as we call, ecologically valid research. We need more longitudinal studies. And a finer classification of what I just explained, who is an expert and what kinds of expertise do we have. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if not tonight, tomorrow I will be uploading another one. We're at 15 minutes. Hope you're having a great week, and don't forget, lift intentionally, not habitually. Bye guys.